Microtransactions in Call of Duty are far worse than anyone is telling you. I see two kind of camps right now with microtransactions. There's the one group of people that are like, okay, the most important thing with microtransactions is that we keep this as close to a milsim and as realistic as possible, where others are just like, spend your money on what you want to spend your money on. I am not going to be talking about any of that in today's video because I don't actually think either of those things are the problem with microtransactions. The problem with microtransactions in Call of Duty is they have actively ruined the gameplay experience of not only multiplayer, not only zombies, Warzone, the entire kit and caboodle. And it's been going on for a very, very long time. You see, to understand what I'm talking about here, we first have to understand how microtransactions first got implemented into a Call of Duty game. So let's be clear, when microtransactions started, they weren't really microtransactions in Call of Duty. You were buying DLC, map packs, zombies maps, things along those lines. And I don't think to this day people consider that to be microtransactions. Where they actually started was in Call of Duty Black Ops 2. So Black Ops 2 is interesting for a couple of reasons. First of all, they still had the original DLC model that we had where you had to buy map packs. And in fact, they introduced the very first DLC weapon as the Peacekeeper. However, they also introduced some other new things, like for example, the flag pack, where you could have an emblem or calling card that was based off of wherever you were from, but you had to buy that. They also had it so that you could buy custom create class slots. A lot of people forget about that. And on top of that, there was also personalization packs, which were essentially camos that you could put on your weapons that you couldn't earn in any other way than buying them. And these would essentially cost a couple bucks. So first of all, these were cheap. Second of all, they were microtransactions. They were not macro transactions, which we'll get to in a minute. And on top of this, they were very clear that these were to only be used in this Call of Duty game. Just in Black Ops 2, if the next Call of Duty game is Call of Duty Ghosts that comes out, you can't use them in that next game. That was very clear and put out there right in the open. Now, this was the model that was used in Call of Duty for years until the release of Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. When this game was introduced, they changed the microtransaction model altogether to supply drops. Now, we know this model had a bunch of problems in and of itself. For example, in Advanced Warfare, you could get stat changing weapons that you could only get through these. And then of course you could buy the supply drops, which made it slightly pay to win. Some other things that you could get through the supply drops were actual items that could edit the way your operator worked. So you weren't buying operator skins, you were getting supply drops that would give you items that you could equip to your character and make you look different. Now, I think this is when the moral issues started to come in with Call of Duty microtransactions. All of a sudden, there was this almost form of gambling that not only implemented the gambling system of supply drops, but also stat changing weapons that you were more likely to get if you would pay more money. Obviously, there being a problem with that. Now, we no longer have this problem because of some things that were implemented, but I just don't want you to get me wrong. I don't want to go back to supply drops or anything like that, but there were elements of that system that were better than what we have now. And keep in mind, the one big thing is still in Advanced Warfare, they made it very clear that the items that you got in that game were to stay in that game. You were buying microtransactions just for Advanced Warfare. Now let's fast forward to 2019 with the release of the reboot of Modern Warfare. Now, there was two new systems implemented with Modern Warfare 2019. The first of which is one that we still have today, which is the Battle Pass. Now, this one, basically, each and every season, a new Battle Pass comes in and you get various items. Now, I want you to pay close attention to what these items are. Some of them are double XP and things that can just be used in these games, but others are weapon blueprints, which are essentially a specific camo given for an individual weapon, as well as operators and operator skins, which again should have just been for Modern Warfare 2019. And that was until something else got introduced, something by the name of Warzone. So when Warzone was introduced, all of those microtransactions that were in Modern Warfare also carried over into Warzone. And at the time of Modern Warfare, pretty much everything that was coming out at that point was close to milsim as milsim can get. Yeah, some of them got a little bit more ridiculous, like with the Haunting of Verdansk, but for the most part, pretty realistic. But everything got carried over. And the difference Warzone was a free-to-play game. Therefore, when Black Ops Cold War came out or Call of Duty Vanguard came out, all of those previous weapons from previous titles carried over, and so did the blueprints, so did the operator skins, so on and so forth. And there was two problems created with this. Number one, a massive amount of bloat. So many weapons, hundreds of weapons were now in Warzone, leaving the meta to be kind of all over the place because, well, how do you decide or even level up that many weapons if you are a free-to-play player? And on top of that, it also made it so that there were operators from various different games in one game from different time periods, really messing up the narrative, and it hit a point where you just kind of had to accept that. And at that point, they did this. So yeah, things got really, really wild. We got crazier and crazier skins, and eventually the game was super, super bloated. So what did they do? They released Warzone 2. This was with the introduction of Al Mazrah, and in 2022, they added it in with Modern Warfare 2. And seemingly, people thought this was a reset, and I truly believe that the reason why they did this was for a reset, so they could remove all of those bloated items, but it also removed all of those items that people had previously paid for. Now, they also released something by the name of Call of Duty HQ, and ever since then, the integration between the multiplayer games, the campaign, and Warzone have all been all together, therefore making it so all of the items that you get in there, most of which carry forward at the very least into Warzone. This year with Black Ops 6, the weapons from Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3 are not in Black Ops 6, but they do continue to be in Warzone, and once again, we have hundreds of weapons in the game. So let's take a quick look at what we have for microtransactions now. So once again, we have the Battle Pass, and it once again includes various different things like number one, weapon blueprints that only apply to one individual weapon, like you are seeing here. And we have operator skins like you are seeing here that apply to an individual operator. As of right now, these are all carried over into Warzone. Similarly, if we go into the store, yes, these ones get pretty ridiculous, like a bacon ghillie suit. No, I am not kidding you. But as we click on this, we can see in the top left-hand corner that these things can all be used in both Black Ops 6 and Warzone. But let me ask you this. It is rumored as of right now that next year we are getting a Black Ops 7. Here's the first question. All of these Black Ops 6 weapons that you're buying, all of these Black Ops 6 operators that you're buying, can you use them in Black Ops 7? Are they carrying over into Warzone? The answer is we don't really know because they have never told us. And every year we are left guessing whether or not we're going to be able to use these things in the coming up year. Now, the thing is this should be easy. We've seen games do it where they just keep releasing microtransaction and the game doesn't become bloated. There aren't too many weapons. There aren't too many operators. There aren't too many skins. However, the problem is the way that they've done it is they keep introducing new weapons, which carry over to the next game, each of which has blueprints that people buy. They don't want to upset people by getting rid of their blueprints and push them away from the game, because when people lose their items, they don't want to play the game anymore. And the problem is they've created this microtransaction model, which now they have to stick to because people have already bought it, and it's screwing up the game because now there are so many weapons. How many weapons are there in Warzone right now that absolutely nobody uses and are not meta whatsoever, but are just still sitting there because people have bought blueprints on them? Same with operators. How many are there that just make absolutely no sense? So what should have happened? What should the answer to this actually be? Why are we buying blueprints for one individual weapon when what would make a lot more sense is to get camos that can be used at least on one class of weapons? Like, say, for example, you buy an assault rifle camo. It can be used on all assault rifles. Moving forward as well, moving into the next game. So for example, I buy a camo that works on assault rifles in Black Ops 6. It can then be used on assault rifles in Black Ops 7 when it comes out, and then in Modern Warfare 4 when that comes out. And those can carry forward because they don't make it so you have to use more weapons. Or maybe there's some Mastercraft camos that can be used on all weapons, and those maybe cost a little bit more. They could be making so much more money doing this without the bloat, without the hassle, but they don't. And as far as operators go, sure, maybe you want to have staple Call of Duty characters like Adler or Woods or Price that you buy, but maybe instead of buying these ridiculous operators, you can buy items. You can buy helmets. You can buy things like that. Like imagine instead of a bundle where you get Master Chief as an operator, maybe you can just buy a Master Chief helmet for like $2. And then you can get these very Master Chief gloves, things like this. And then those can carry forward and you don't have to have this influx of operators. You can have the customization, you can have things like that without the over bloat of the game. And do you know what's wild? This was the way that microtransactions were done at the very beginning. In Black Ops 2, you didn't buy a weapon blueprint for one individual weapon. You bought camos that you could use on a bunch of weapons. And no, they didn't carry over game to game, but you knew that in advance that they did not. But there is a way where they could make that happen. Let me ask you this, when Modern Warfare 4 comes out, are we going to have Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, Black Ops 6, and Black Ops 7, and Modern Warfare 4 weapons all in Warzone because they're afraid to get rid of the blueprints that people bought? The answer to that is potentially, I don't know, and that's insanity because it's way too much to be in the game. And it makes it so that people are overwhelmed when they come in the game. They're like, what the heck weapons should I be using? There's like 300 of them in here. So they have created this problem and they are not fixing it. They're adding in more blueprints, more operators, and more things that may or may not carry over to the next game. And that's one of the biggest problems. We have no idea when these things are just going to disappear whatsoever. It is morally bankrupt. We don't know what we're buying. We don't know what we're getting. And you know what? If they did this properly, the coolest part about this is they could make it so those mastery camos that we got in Modern Warfare 1, Black Ops Cold War, Vanguard, Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, Black Ops 6 could all carry forward and be used on the next game's weapons without having the overbloat of all of the previous weapons. You could still earn things and carry them forward and buy things and carry them forward without it affecting gameplay, without it affecting the game. But are they going to do that? And at this point, the answer is probably not, because what are they going to do? Get rid of everything that you've already bought? Maybe they do Warzone 3 so that they can have a reset. Maybe that is going to be the answer. But for now, we are stuck with this system. Stuck with a system that I believe is truly morally bankrupt for many, many reasons. But worse than all of that, the decisions that they have made with the microtransactions and moving forward with these has directly affected the gameplay of every single mode in the game. The design decisions upon what makes a player good, skill-based matchmaking, and on top of that, what gets carried forward, what bloats the game, and even that game size and downloads of each and every title update. These are all decisions not made to make the game better and more enjoyable. It is made to sell more microtransactions and not lose players because they are losing items. And again, this is what they believe will make them the most money. But in the end, I truly want what's best for the player, and in turn, I think would be best for the studio and the developers as well. This is not a video to hate on what they're doing in the game. This is a video to hopefully help them improve what they already have. Will it happen? I highly doubt it. But if you agree, let me know what you think down in the comments. If you disagree, also let me know what you think. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, subscribe, turn notifications on. I appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Until next time. Peace. We are reaching for the stars.